Collins going to the Cleveland Browns. We also have Evan Engram, the free agent tight end, going to the Denver Broncos on a 2-year deal. The 2-time Pro Bowl tight end winds up in Denver. The Broncos have been looking for a tight end for quite some time. They finally find one in Evan Engram.
Yeah, so we kind of thought this might happen, Dan, because he was visiting there, but I think this is a great addition in that offense for Bo Nix.
2 years ago, Evan Engram had 114 catches. 3 years ago, he averaged 10 yards a catch. So, Sean Payton, notorious, wants the joker piece, the guy that he can move around to gather information for, to create matchups for. If Evan Engram can be kind of what he was in 23 and 22, now Bo Nix has just another person that they can break the huddle, gather information, and create matchups for other guys.
I mean, listen, this guy was a first-round pick for a reason.
Totally.
He adds an explosiveness from the tight end position that is unlike a lot of other guys in this league. And let's be real, Bo Nix played exceedingly well for a rookie last year. He also pushed the football down the field, middle to late season, in a way that I didn't necessarily expect him. Now you have a guy who can win one-on-one mismatch battles. I think this is huge for the young quarterback.
Last thing I'll say about Evan, we've sat with him for games.
Yeah.
He's an amazing locker room presence as well for a team that still has some young elements.
Had worked so hard on himself, too, in Jacksonville, and we saw that really play out on the field. All right.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I definitely can't wait to see what the Broncos do for within free agency, or within the draft, obviously, because the Broncos are in such a fascinating situation here, because I really do firmly believe this, that we saw essentially, outside of maybe Bo Nix's like final season of his career, we've essentially saw the absolute worst season of Bo Nix. And I really, really, really fully believe that Bo Nix is going to be significantly better than people want to acknowledge. And we really get to see that when you don't rely on him to be the playmaker again and again and again. Throw away the stats. I went through them before, all throughout the season, and even kind of like as soon as the season was over, just to kind of compare and show you like just how great the numbers actually really were. But when you just see the type, that who Bo Nix is, I mean, like he's a baller, right? Like he really is. He's just so in it and ready to go that if you now can just take some of that off his plate, it's just going to open things up. We were unable to really see the true levels of his playmaking abilities in the NFL because he was limited. And his unique skill set, like even his style of mobility, which I think is incredibly beneficial. That's why I kept saying that he's more kind of like a, in one way, in some ways, Jaden Daniels is kind of like a Lamar, although definitely not, 1-to-1. And and Bo Nix is, very similar to a Josh Allen. The reality is that the true, like, quick speed, the explosiveness and the slipperiness of a Jaden Daniels, I think, especially when you first enter the league and if you are limited by a roster standpoint, you're going to have more, it's going to be easier to kind of see that jump off the screen for whatever reason, why it just seems that it just can kind of, jump off a little bit more easily, which is why we've seen some of these really fast, quick quarterbacks. Like, that's why people can't let go of like a Justin Fields or something, like, because they still see something that they're just like, oh man, there's something really here. There's something really here. And I think the style of play of Bo Nix in terms of his physicality and his mobility is it just hits a little differently. And I think if you really watch closely, you can see so much more greatness bundled in that. And honestly, I really think the best example of this, two examples of this, was actually ironically and two completely different games. The Ravens and versus the Chiefs, even versus the Ravens. Like I used the example when I said this at the time of the game that like this looked like a guy who is just this awesome quarterback, this awesome elite athlete who's playing in high school and he's not on a good team. And they're just like, we just kind of need you to do everything. Like ideally we'd love to have you line up on defense as well. Like you're the best football player, not just the best quarterback, but you're the best football player we have, and you just got to just try to do anything you can. And you see this a lot with a lot of a lot of special athletes who are when they're younger, when they're playing in middle school, high school, etc., when they're just kind of limited by like essentially whoever lives around them. And to me, like, that's what I was watching when I saw Bo Nix, and it's just like, man, this team, when this offense can really open up, and you can now really just kind of just have some drives when you could just be like, Bo, you just got to get the ball to your playmakers, and they're gonna give the defense fits, and just have to have the defenses now kind of pick and choose their battles more. It's just gonna open things up, and this is one of the steps to that. Do I think you add Evan Engram, and now it's like, oh man, Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos are lighting this league on fire? Like, no, I don't. Again, is it absolutely going to benefit? Without a shadow of a doubt. And do I think Sean Payton is going to be able to get a lot out of an Engram at this point? For sure, I do. But I'm just so excited to see not only how Bo Nix evolves as a quarterback individually, devoid of anything else around him, even Sean Payton's influence for that matter, just some of the other stuff that he's doing 100% himself, mental, physical, whatever it may be, because at the end of the day, like, he's the one that's going home, he's laying in bed, and he's got to think like, what do I need to do? What is it that I need to do to take my game to the next level? I'm excited to see that side of it, because I already know Sean Payton and company are going to, do what they got to do. But then from a roster construction to be like, what else opens this up? I think the Broncos, when you compare like a Jaden Daniels season and a Broncos season, you seemingly had two great quarterbacks who had obviously great seasons. Of course, the Commanders were able to get to the NFC Championship game and win. But the reality, or not win, but then, lose. And Jaden Daniels put up unbelievable numbers, no doubt about it. But I think at the end of the day, the Commanders were set up more offensively to do more damage. I don't think the difference between getting to the NFC Championship game and not is just 100% on just quarterback play. Don't get me wrong. Jaden Daniels absolutely stepped up when the moment called for it, and I'm a massive, supporter of Jaden Daniels. But the Denver Broncos, they were just not positioned for that. Again, look no further than the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, against the Baltimore Ravens. Like, it was just, they were just stuck in ways that they just couldn't, that like, no matter how great your quarterback is, like, it just wasn't enough at all. And now that they're kind of starting to build off of that and evolve, like, people still doubt what I think that the Broncos could actually be when you really think about it, like how much buzz is around the Denver Broncos. Like, I'm so fascinated to see that when preseason, free agency's over, the draft's over, and people are now really having real conversations. It's like, end of July, August type time, and everyone's really talking about, what do you expect this team to be? Here are the power rankings, or, who do we think is going to win the division, this, that. Like, I'm so fascinated to see where people evaluate the Broncos. The hardest thing the Broncos have going for them is that I think the division is actually legitimately tough. I think at this point there's no easy wins. The Eagles, the Commanders, they can count on the Cowboys, the Giants, etc. I don't think at this point it's going to be an easy win against the Raiders, against the Chargers, against the Chiefs. Like, those are all going to be tough games. But the benefit of that is that I think when you're a young quarterback who has the level of maturity that Bo Nix has, I think some quarterbacks, they can really benefit from playing bad teams, and they can really grow, evolve, and I think it can really, really help them. And then you have other players, and especially quarterbacks, where even if they struggle or lose or have some bad moments, if they're playing high, a high quality team, and you're just seeing what true high level ball looks like, that's where they can improve and grow even more. And I think that's who a Bo Nix is. I think Bo Nix is, the whole, iron sharpening iron, where it's just kind of like, him going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, that great defense, him going up against, the Chargers, which are also a great defense. And now the Raiders, with Pete Carroll, etc. Like, that's only going to make him better and better and better. It's not going to break them. Some guys are breaks, and some guys, they don't, they grow more from just playing bad teams for whatever reason, just because they're more comfortable. But that's almost like a false sense of growth. That's a Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has gotten better and better and better at playing bad teams. He just has. He has not gotten better at playing better teams and great teams. He hasn't. He just hasn't. Jalen Hurts, quarterback, has. Josh Allen has. Lamar Jackson has. Patrick Mahomes has. Bo Nix will. I think he already was, throughout this season. So that matters. That matters significantly. So I think actually having a hard division actually benefits him just individually. If though it kind of technically hurts the Broncos as a whole, just because it's, you obviously, you want to have easy wins. You want to be able to, count on a couple divisional teams where you're like, yeah, we're probably going to go 3-1, 4-0 against, these two teams or something. It's obviously a massive boost to helping win the division or, getting in the wild card seeding, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's going to be interesting. I'm so fascinated to see what this Broncos team can be. And I just, when we talk about some of these quarterbacks who can have like sophomore slumps, or now that we got film on them, they're going to be this or that. And it's just like, I don't even remotely consider Bo Nix taking a step back. It's like, it doesn't even register for me. It's so hard for me to imagine him not taking a gigantic step forward, both individually and because of the decisions that the Broncos are making. Something as simple as adding an Evan Engram, that I just think, again, it's all of these little things that will amount to significantly bigger things. So, you have to wait and see what the other teams are doing, right? Especially like a team like the Chargers. But I think the Broncos, honestly, I think it's really going to be a who's who in terms of who can win the division. Again, I got to see what the Chiefs continue to do as well. And is Rashee Rice going to get suspended? And is he getting suspended at the beginning of the season, the middle of the season, any of that type of stuff? But I think the Broncos have a legitimate chance, especially if they knock out really get some nice hits in the draft, a true, actual, bona fide chance to win the division. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the moves that the Broncos are making so far? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.